Hi Aries, welcome to your 2020 year ahead tarot scope with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It is an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all of your support through 2019. It truly does mean the absolute world to me. If you are new to my channel, if you are a new subscriber, I just want to say thank you so much for being part of my journey and allowing me to be a part of yours. If you would like to book a personal reading of any kind of tarot for your year ahead or personal reading, please hit the link in the description box below. If you haven't, then check out all of the other things on my channel. There is a whole bunch of stuff from life path numbers to year ahead readings and everything in between. Thank you for being here and thank you for being a part of my journey. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless all of my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So I have I've got like a whole bunch of decks in front of me here. So I am going to go through the months of 2020. There's going to be a major card, so the destiny and direction for each month of the year. So your destiny card is a major card and your direction card is how you kind of utilize that energy best. So you start the year with the death card, right? Don't freak out. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. What it means is that you start the year off with the energy of change, transition and transformation. Whenever you see the death card, it means that you've already made a decision to let something go. This means that you've already made the decision to move past something. And the fact that you're starting the year off with the death card, it kind of sets the tone. So it means that this year you're going to be transforming who you are, you're going to be transforming your outlook, but you'll also be letting go of outdated or outmoded structures, people, relationships, connections, all of that stuff, which is actually a good thing, because when you're in that space of consciously removing from your life or consciously allowing things, people, situations to be removed from your life, that's when you open yourself up to your highest good. That's when you open yourself up to your highest vibrational good, right? So I've got a full deck, and this is going to be where you get your direction card from. All right, so the direction that this will take will be the Four of Cups. So this is going to be a month. January, you will be open to how many options you have. Now, it's really interesting because just before I started shuffling this deck, what I wanted to talk about was the death card represents the sign of Scorpio, right? But it's also number 13. 1 and 3 gives you 4, which actually is a nod to the Emperor, which is your card, right? So it's the number 4. And then here you've got a number 4 of Cups, which is really interesting to me. So what that basically says, as far as I'm concerned, is that this is going to be a year, especially because this is how you kick off the year, right? So that's what you need to remember. It kind of sets the tone and permeates the energy. The 4 of Cups is basically saying you have more options available to you than you think, and the fact that you're going through the death card, right, as your destiny, this basically says that you are going through the process of eliminating the options that are not viable to you. It's always great to have lots of options, but if the options that are on the table don't really suit you or serve you in any way, shape or form, then it's time for you to release them and to let them go. January will be a month where you really are saying to yourself, you'll have more options than you need. But because you've got the death card there, you're being very, very selective about what is really a viable option for you. So this is about you asking yourself those bigger and deeper questions. Does this actually serve me? Is it really going to support me and help me going forward? February, you get the Hermit card, right? So February, you're taking time to go within. So you might be withdrawing from people. You might be withdrawing from your own personal social circle in some way, shape or form. It could be, right, because we've seen these cards here in January, it may very well be that you start to ask yourself, right, okay, where do I go from here? The Hermit card is about withdrawal from the world. It does see you kind of coming back into yourself and saying, right, okay, I need to ask myself some bigger questions. I need to delve deeper into who I am, and ultimately when you get the Hermit card, it's basically asking you to go within to listen to your intuition. It's about making yourself still so that you can hear the High Priestess talk. That's kind of the way that these two cards work, which I absolutely love. And maybe one day I'll do a video on that. But with the Hermit card as well, this can see you going on a quest or going on a journey. It can see you getting really proactive about learning, right? And when I say learning, it doesn't have to necessarily be going to school or going to university. For some of you, it may very well be about that. But for others of you, this is more about learning about yourself and who this new emerging self happens to be. All right, so that sets the tone for the month of February, right? So it's going to be a month where you're really thinking deeply about what the next steps are for you over the course of this year. Interestingly enough, in January, we've got that big conjunction that everybody's talking about. So it'll be interesting to see what it is and how it shapes up. So you've got the Tower card, right, as the direction for February. Now, what I find really interesting about this is because it falls right on top of the Hermit. This really feels for me like you're going to have a personal wake-up call. For some of you, and I have to be honest, right, the Hermit card represents the sign of Virgo. So this is all about in your physical body, this is about your digestive system. For some of you, you could be getting a real wake-up call when it comes to what you eat. You could be starting to notice that you're really sensitive to certain foods. You could be, making the choice to really say to yourself, right, okay, I need to get rid of those things. On a physical level, I'm not a doctor, I can't give you medical advice. I can tell you what comes up through the cards though. And it does look like from a physical perspective, you're really taking care of your diet, what foods you can eat. You'll be really, really selective about what you're taking in that respect. On a philosophical or a mental or an emotional level, what this actually talks about is you having a big spiritual self-awakening of sorts. This is going to be a powerful month for you, and you might have some realizations about yourself, about the way that you do things, and it will really be like a shake-up. The Tower always brings you a new perspective, a new understanding of something, but it's usually quite shocking. And sometimes that literally is, when you look at the way that you're living your life, sometimes you just say to yourself, wow, I can't believe that I was holding on to that belief. I can't believe that I was holding on to that understanding or that viewpoint of life. And it looks like you're being shaken out of it here in February. So March, heading into birthday season for you guys. You've got the Moon card, right? So you come full cycle. It's an interesting one because I kind of feel like the energy for you guys so far in the first quarter of the year, it's about you wrapping the things up that you've already kind of started that are culminating. So at the end of 2019, all of the stuff that you're kind of dealing with there, it's not like it follows you into the new year. It's like you're completing that stuff. You've got the Moon card here in March. Now, interestingly enough, the beginning of March is all about Pisces energy, and the Moon card represents the sign of Pisces, which does suggest to me that for a lot of you, this will be about you facing your personal fears, right? You're having these big realizations in February, whereas in March, you're facing your personal fears. You're having that understanding of, wow, okay, you know what? I understand what it is that's been holding me back. I understand where it is that I've been spending my energy and what my subconscious blocks are. This is about you coming to that realization, and it's like the fears that have that may have held you back in some way, shape or form, they come to light now just in time for birthday season, which is beautiful because it suggests then that the solar return for you guys really does bring you something life enhancing because you're finding an inner freedom. All right, so your direction card is the Knight of Swords. For some of you, this looks like there could be a very big change. For some of you, it does look like there could be you moving home. For a very select few of you, this could be about moving country. And for other people, for the people outside of yourself, they could look at this and say, okay, are you having a midlife crisis? What's going on here? This looks like it looks like you're going sort of off the rails. what you're doing may not make sense to other people. The way that you're doing it or the speed at which you're doing it might not make sense to other people, but it will be right for you because that's what you will feel. And I will say this, for some of you, it looks like you're returning to a place, a home, or a country of origin. Even if it is just for a short while, but there's definitely some kind of backtrack that's going on here. Now, with the Knight of Swords, it can also be fast, aggressive communication. The whole month of March, energy is going to be very heightened. You will really be feeling, interestingly enough as well, I think we've got a Mercury retrograde in Pisces. So this will be the time for you to really sort of take care around your feelings and your thoughts, because they'll be very close to the surface. And like I said, it's great that you're making these changes. Just be aware that you might come up against some resistance. All right. So let's have a look at April. Again, for those of you that are celebrating your birthdays in April. Okay, so you've got the Judgment card, right? So this is about a blast from the past. Very, very interesting, because the cards seem to be kind of reiterating here what we're talking about, right? So this is a blast from the past. Now, the Judgment card can represent your ancestors. It can represent your, you know, your family of heritage. So for some of you, there could definitely be a return to your country of origin if you have one. If you live in the place, you know, if you live in the country that you were born in, this could see you taking a trip down memory lane in some way, shape or form. Now, because it is the Judgment card, there is a part of me that thinks that for a lot of you, this is going to be about an ex-partner. There may be a reconnection that happens there. It's definitely a possibility. And finally, this is about transformation. So in deference, right, or indifference, should I say, the Death card brings transformation by completing and ending something. The Judgment card allows you to look at something. It brings something or someone back into your life so that you can finally learn and assimilate whatever the lesson or the blessing may well be. And this kind of, you know, it's going to be very different for all of you in some way, shape or form. So let's have a look, see what the direction is. All right. It's the King of Swords. So for some of you, this could be about legal documents, legal paperwork. For others, it could be about, you know, it could be about something that you've inherited, something that you were supposed to inherit. It could look like paperwork there. It could be that some of you are taking a trip back to somewhere that you live because you're having to sort out inheritance, or maybe somebody didn't leave a will. There's, you know, there could be all that kind of thing going on. The King of Swords usually represents things like lawyers. Sometimes it can be doctors as well, all of that sort of stuff. It's usually someone that's at the peak or pinnacle or in a position of authority within their field. So in that respect, it's a very legal card. It's a very authoritative card. Now, because it is the King of Swords, this is an air sign male, right? And a lot of people say like, oh, you know, I don't want to mention sexes when the cards come up. I'm old school. Right? It's not to say that I believe one sex is better than any of the others. It's nothing to do with that. When I see a king, I'm talking about a male or a very masculine woman. When I see a queen, I'm talking about a woman or a very effeminate man. You know, I myself class myself as an effeminate male anyway, so it doesn't really faze me in that way. This isn't about that, right? So try not to get so hung up on that thing. When you hear tarot readers talk about the old school ones, those of us that subscribe to the old school ways, when you hear them talk about men and women coming up through the cards, don't get triggered by it. It's a waste of your energy. All right, so you're talking about an air sign male. This could be an Aquarius, a Gemini, or a Libra. And because it falls with the Judgment card, this could be, it really does feel for me like it's something of a legal nature that's being wrapped up now. You can finally let this go, all right? Does look like a culmination of sorts, which is what makes me wonder if it is something to do with a will or something of that nature. All right, so let's have a look at May. What is going on for you? All right, and you get the High Priestess. This is about hidden things revealed, right? And it's also about your intuition. And I've always said, my dear Ma is an Aries, and she's super psychic, like super, super psychic. At which, you know, I love. And I always say this to any Aries that I come across, you have the ability there, whether you're open to it or not. So this month, the month of May, could see you really pay attention to your dreams, pay attention to your hunches, because this could be where you're gaining insight, information into all kinds of things that could really help you in some way, shape or form. Now, because you've got the High Priestess in May, it looks like there is something hidden that is being revealed. There's some kind of information that is coming to light that you didn't have before. Because you've got the High Priestess, you may well feel this coming, but you might not know exactly what it is. And then, when it hits, you're like, okay, that's what I was thinking about. That's what I was dreaming about. So let's give it some context and see what it might relate to. The Star card, right? So this is about, your Star card is about your future. It's about hope. It's about peace. And it's the card that follows the Tower. Right, so you have your difficult, well, it's not necessarily a difficult moment. I think whenever, the veil to who we were falls down, sometimes it can lead to a bit of a crisis point, because you're like, okay, shit, if I'm not that person, then who am I? Right, but here in May, what this kind of says to me, especially with the Star card, there is a grand reveal of what is next. This is a glimpse into your future. The Star card is ruled by Aquarius, so this could be about your people. You could be getting insight into your family, into things that people, who have passed, right, judgment, all of that, may have left behind. They might have been living a secret life. All of that sort of stuff could be coming up here. You personally, on an everyday level, this is about you delving into your future and understanding where it is that you're going from here. Now, because it comes through the guise of the star, this could very well be some kind of revealing, because it's like the internet. It is, online communication. You could very well be having some contact with somebody online, right? It could be a possible partnership. It could be a possible business partnership, but it's beneficial, right? This is a really good energy for you, because you're going to be feeling lighter and clearer than you have in a long time, right? May is a really good month for you. It just might bring some interesting developments when it comes to the internet, when it comes to family members, people that you connect with online. For some of you, it might be that a long lost relative, or one that you didn't even realize you had, gets in contact with you and says hi. It's definitely a possibility with these two cards. June, you've got the Devil, right? So this is interesting because it's the horned one in this deck, and one of the things that I love about this deck is it tends to give a more romanticized feel about it. And whenever you see the Devil card, it means that you're ready. I think one of the things that it represents is you being ready to transcend something that you are clinging to, right? Whether this is an old way of being. Now, you're getting a glimpse into your future. So it's actually good that this is coming up in June, because it means that you'll be able to see where it is that you've held yourself back, where it is. And it's interesting, look, because February is Aquarius, right? June is Gemini. So in the 2 months of the year that have an air sort of quality to them, you're learning stuff about yourself. You're having big realizations about where you hold yourself back, what it is that has tried to hold you down, that comes from within. This is about you saying to yourself, right, this thing has taken up enough of my time, enough of my energy. It's now time for me to release it. It's now time for me to let it go. All right, so your direction card for June is the Wheel of Fortune, right? So this could literally, simply, to put it really simply, this could be you saying, I'm no longer willing to rely on luck. I'm no longer willing to kind of coast the waves of the universe. I'm going to make stuff happen for myself now. And that's a really good place to be, because, sometimes when you kind of say, well, I'll just leave it to the universe, and it puts you in a place of inaction, and then it allows you to slip into that, oh, woe is me, when things don't go according to what you would like them to be, right? Whereas this month, it looks like June, you're really taking that self-responsibility to say, you know what, here I've probably relied too much on outside energies, too much on outside forces. That's not going to do me any favors. It's not giving me the experience that I want, right? So there's that aspect of it. And then with the Wheel of Fortune as the direction, this is about you saying to yourself, you know what? I've been tied to a situation, a habit, an experience for far too long, and it's now time for me to release that. It's now time for me to let that go, right? I mean, more than anything, this looks like a very self-exploratory and a very self-understanding year for you, and there's never anything wrong with that as far as I'm concerned, right? So your July, you've got the Strength card, right? So this is about your physical health again. Interestingly enough, that was then. So yeah, this is about your physical health for sure. It's about your strength, your endurance. But when it comes to the physical body, so July is going to see you really paying attention to how you feel, what your body is doing, what you are, again, not necessarily your diet, but it will see you really paying attention to your physical health, to how you look after yourself. It's also you asking yourself, what do I truly want, right? You spent all this time understanding yourself, clearing things out, letting go of things on attachments, whereas now you're coming into the place where you're like, right, okay, what can I replace all of this with? Now that I've eliminated all of the stuff that's holding me back or holding me down, what can I replace it with? What do I want to replace it with? It puts you in the driving seat, right? To clarify on that, you've got the Knight of Wands. So you're traveling in July. A lot of you are taking another trip. So it looks like your months of travel are probably going to be March and April and July so far. These are going to be times, and it might be an overlap here. So like the end of March going into April. You've got the Knight of Wands on the Strength card. This is about you doing things that you're passionate about. It's about you saying to yourself, you know what, I've wanted to do this for a long time. I'm going to do it. You've got a lot of strength, a lot of health, a lot of vitality in July, and it's because you are being more conscious about your body. Maybe you're paying attention to your sleep pattern. For a lot of you, you're letting go of a bad habit here in June, so you could start to see the benefits of that really show up very quickly. For those of you that are smokers or big drinkers, for those of you that indulge in party pleasures, by knocking that stuff on the head here in June, you could have this massive surge of energy and drive and passion and fire in you, and say like, wow, you know what, I feel so much better for having given that up. And it's not to be like, you have to scold yourself for giving up a bad habit. It's not that at all. It's coming through the guise of, you know what, I'm ready to release this or relinquish this thing's grip on me. And so therefore I feel lighter, I feel more powerful, I feel stronger within myself. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. That thing with the Knight of Wands as well, and on the Strength card, there's definitely travel, and it's to a hot climate. So when you're traveling in July, you're going to somewhere that is possibly, it's either got a desert, but it's a very dry, hot climate. So it's not somewhere tropical. This is going to be somewhere that, when you go there, it's like dusty, it's hot, it's got that sort of real heat to it. You'll feel it in your bones, and it will be, it will just be a trip that really excites you and makes you feel passionate. And what better time to travel than a time where you are clear of something that was either a bad influence or a challenging or not so beneficial experience of life, let's say. So let's have a look at August. What's going on there for you? You've got the Fool card, right? So you are meeting somebody new. Someone or something new is entering your life. And when you see the Fool card, new things, new places, new people, new energy, new stimulus. Beautiful, right? I love the Fool card because it's always a brand new beginning, but it tends to bring someone or something into our lives that we haven't known before, that we don't know. And sometimes it can be a really small moment, and it's very often something that changes our lives for the better, but also for good. All right, so let's have a look at what your direction is. Let's give the Fool card some context. It's about judgment, right? Look at that. You've got judgment right underneath judgment. This for me is actually beautiful, right? Because it suggests that now, interestingly enough, this is card 20. So there's only one more card after this. So this is about full cycle, the Fool to the Judgment. That is, I mean, You know, this sees you really completing a big cycle. For a lot of you, this could be where you're completing a move. Now, for some of you, you're starting this process in March and it will complete in August. Wherever it is that you find yourself living in the month of August, it will feel like home. You will feel this sense of, do you know what? The reason my life never worked up until now is because I haven't been in the right place. The Judgment card brings you full cycle, full circle, right? So, I mean, the trip that you take in March back down memory lane and in April, it could be of an exploratory nature where you're going, you know, to wrap things up, to tie things up, and you know, you have a little inkling, but when you go back there, for some of you, you're going back to the same place. For others, you're going back to somewhere completely new, but this is about you living there. So there's a lot of change when it comes to moving in for Aries in 2020. A lot of you will find that you're moving. A lot of you may even be moving abroad. You know, this is something that's really coming through very strongly, very powerful. And in August, you have this sense of, you know what, I'm home. This is where I was supposed to be. The reason it's never worked or nothing's ever worked for me up until now is because I've been in the wrong place. This is where I'm supposed to be. This is always where I was supposed to be. Very, very powerful energy. Lots and lots of enjoyment here. I mean, it's going to be a powerful month. August is going to be, you know, it's going to be that moment where you kind of, you know, you think to yourself, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. It's just that absolute feeling of coming home. September, you have the Empress, right? So, I mean, what happens when you feel happy and settled where you are? Opportunities open for you, abundance can find you, because when you're happy, when you feel settled in yourself, you put those vibrations out and you start to attract the best to you. The Empress card actually represents abundance. She represents Venus, so she can be all things beautiful, all things abundant, all things prosperous coming to you. September looks like a great month for money, for finances. These things look absolutely brilliant for you, which is lovely. Let's give her some context. Let's see what she might be talking about. Okay, so you've had a jumper and it is the Moon card, right? So again, coming full circle. Now, what I find intriguing about this is I feel like this is something that was either promised to you or something is revealed to you. And it's about something to do with money, something to do with finances makes itself known to you. And it could be something that you were, you know, that was always supposed to be yours, or something that you were entitled to that you didn't realize you were entitled to. And it comes full circle here. I mean, the Moon card is beautiful because it represents your past, right? But because you've got the Empress there, it represents something closing out in your past, but in a beneficial way for you now. So like I said, this could be something, it could be money, finances, a grant, a loan that you didn't realize you were entitled to. It's making itself presentable to you now, and it's actually making itself useful to you now. Interestingly enough, the Empress is Taurus, the Moon card is Pisces. These are complementary elements. You've got water and earth here. This could be a really good month for you to possibly maybe start a business. It could be a good month for you to look at your finances. It could be a good month for you to maybe not necessarily invest in anything new, but it could be a really good time to build up the infrastructure of something that already exists. So let's have a look at your October. You've got the Hierophant card, right? So this is about the structures, it's about the organizations, it's about governing bodies and all of that stuff. The Hierophant card is also where you make something real. It's where something becomes prominent or something comes into its own, so to speak, which I really, really like for you. So let's have a look what it might relate to. Okay, so the Lovers, right? So for a lot of you, and it's interesting because I said to you, it will probably be around May, possibly it could be around Yeah, I'm going to say more likely May, possibly July and August, where you're meeting somebody. For some of you, this is about you meeting somebody this month. For those of you that are in relationships that aren't necessarily solid or established, this will be the month where you kind of take it to the next level. This is the month where you say, you know what? Yes, I want to be I want to be your partner. Yes, I want to be your boyfriend. I want to be your girlfriend. This is where a relationship solidifies. This is where, for some of you, you're getting married, right? This is literally about marriage, because you've got the Hierophant card there, which is about long-term, established, traditional commitment. You've got the Lovers making a choice, but it also represents love. It also represents relationships. For some of you, whoever you're meeting in September, it looks like October, you go straight into it and say, you know what? I no longer want to date anybody else. Let's be exclusive. Let's be us. For some of you, this is about marriage. And for a lot of you, this is about you choosing to step forward in some way, shape or form, right? So when it comes to your finances, when it comes to starting a business, you could be making applications for money and all sorts here in September. By October, they're solidified and the payout starts to come. All right, November, you've got the Hanged Man, right? So November's a month for you to take it easy. Don't rush anything. Don't rush into anything. November is a time for you to reflect. It's a time for you to reevaluate and reassess all that's happened throughout the year, for sure. But more importantly, how different things are for you now. Now, it's interesting to note that in November, Jupiter and Pluto will conjunct, right? So this is a big time for spirituality for everybody in general. For you, because it comes through the Hanged Man, this is time to ask you, it's time to basically chill, to say to yourself, right, okay, what can I do through the least action, through the least resistance? Let's give it some context. And this, you get the Five of Wands, right? So interestingly enough, the Five of Wands can be about competition. It can also be about a lot of people talking at once. You may see some drama in November, and the Hanged Man is basically saying, not my monkey, not my circus, right? Not my circus, not my crowd, or whatever the saying is. It's about you kind of looking at things, seeing, listening, you know, so that you're aware of what it is that's going on, but just saying to yourself, you know what, that's got nothing to do with me. I'm not choosing to step into it. You will see some sort of a kerfuffle here in November. Somebody may try to draw you into it, but the Hanged Man is saying, stand back, assess the situation, evaluate the situation, and ask yourself, you know, if I were ever forced to choose, which side of this would I be on? But don't get involved. It's not something for you to directly, you know, somebody might try to pull you into the drama, but it's really important that you keep yourself separate. And then finally, December, to close the year down, you have the Lovers card, right? So again, I mean, there's some definitely big decisions that are being made for you. I think December is going to be about relationships again. You know, whatever starts or culminates in October when it comes to a relationship will be making its way into March in some way, shape or form as well. All right, so let's give it some context. And you've got the Eight of Swords, right? So the Eight of Swords is sometimes about constriction, confinement. Sometimes it sees you, what's the word? Sometimes it sees you feeling trapped by something. This is going to be a time where you're looking at your relationship. Now, I kind of will say this to you. If you get involved in the drama, it may carry over and it may start to sour the relationship. And it looks like the decision that you're making is one to, because whatever this is, I kind of feel like if you get involved now, it will be something that's with you for a long time, right? And the fact that you've got the Eight of Swords over the Lovers card, it could be that your relationship starts to sour because of whatever it is that's going on in a family or a friend's life. And it's really important that you don't allow it to sour your relationship. You've got to find a way to keep it separate. The other thing is, for a select few of you, interestingly enough, this could be you really saying to yourself, you know what, maybe the relationship wasn't what I thought it was, and maybe this person isn't the person for me. Now, that doesn't mean that all of you that, you know, get married here in October are going to split up by December. It just does suggest that you're looking at your relationship in kind of a different light, and you're asking yourself, okay, what is it that I need to know here? You know, what is it about this relationship that either needs to evolve, or you know, or it may not be for me. Now, let's have a look. You have one card for your key to the year, and your key to the year is the Moon card, right? All things come full cycle this year. This is a year of completions. It's a year of endings for you. It is a year where everything wraps up, where you learn about yourself. It's a year for you to let go of your fear, right? Whatever it is that's kept you fearful, whatever it is that may have held you back, this is the time for you to let it go. Your past was then, and 2020 is about you stepping into your future in some way, shape or form. Remember, this isn't just a new year, it's a brand new decade. So this year, how you kick it off is going to be absolutely pivotal for you. Don't waste it. All right, so I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic year ahead. Check in on this video often to see how it speaks to you, how it resonates for you. Some people do it month by month. You know, some people do it, quarter by quarter. So whatever works for you, but check in every so often. Please feel free to comment as well and let me know how it goes. I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Take care. Thank you so much for being here, and a brilliant 2020 to you.